D&Dark is an absurd, over-the-top comedy horror adventure that is intended for older audiences. Content warnings can be found in the episode descriptions. Hello and welcome to D&Dark, a comedy horror real play podcast loosely inspired by Dungeons & Dragons 5th edition, and starring some of history's most infamous monsters. I'm Danger Dan Jerz, and I am your host, / Crypt Keeper. Now, as you've seen in the title, this episode is part 2 of the previous episode. So if you're not caught up, please go back and give that first part a listen as we're skipping the recap this time. It was a pretty long recording session that we opted to split into 2 episodes. So, without further ado, let's jump back into our episode already in progress. Failing that charisma poofs you back to bones, you are getting dragged into the center of this room, and as your runes flicker a little bit, they begin to break apart. Some of your bones remain blue, some of them remain red, and they're drawn into a vortex of bones and skeletons in the center of this room.
I try to rush behind Imhotep and grab him, so that way he can stop trying to move.
Yeah, I was also going to say that while he's, being pulled past me, is he, being levitated, or is he, walking?
He is levitating. He is being almost magnetically drawn into the center of this room. I will let the two of you make a strength check to see specifically how much of Imhotep you can keep together, as the rest of his bones get pulled into a vortex into the center of these skeletons, and their red glow begins to shine brighter and pulse outward as these bones all amalgamate together into one gigantic bone monster. Some of the various femurs and skeletal hands begin to collide together into wings. The skulls of several different shapes and sized skeletons assemble all at the center and kind of make 3 distinct core groups. A whole line of rib cages snap off and form together into one large tail as these bones twist together into a gigantic chimera.
Oh, shit.
Can I petition to get an acrobatics check instead of a strength?
Sure. So go ahead and you'll be reaching for pieces of Imhotep as they're flying into this monster.
Okay.
I rolled a 14 plus 3, so it's a 17.
I got a 12 plus 3 for acrobatics, so 15.
So with a 17 Frankenstein Monster, you're able to grab his head before it gets pulled in. And with your 15, you're able, Invisible Man, to grab a couple of specific bones. I'm going to say you're able to grab a small handful, let's say 5 different bones. I'll leave it up to you how you want to try and reassemble Imhotep out of those 4 or 5 bones and which ones you got, as the whole rest of him gets sent into the bone chimera.
Okay, so with the 5 that I'm able to grab, would you say the chest is one, or would you say that that's more?
Are you going for the sternum or the rib cage?
Mostly the sternum, because I think the sternum is what houses most of everything, right?
I'm going to say you can grab the sternum, but you can't grab anything else.
Oh, shit.
Or you can grab a bunch of smaller things.
I'm going to go ahead and grab 2 arms, 2 legs, and if I can, maybe his pelvic bone. I don't know.
Very important. The crotch.
And I just want to clarify this. The only reason why I went for the pelvis is because I think that's where he put the invisibility potion that I gave him.
I'll allow that. So, now that you have kept a small assemblage of Imhotep together, you are now in combat, and for boss fights, every round you get 1 minute as a team to strategize. So, everybody roll initiative.
Even Imhotep?
Even Imhotep.
Good, because mine's a 3, which makes perfect sense.
A 13.
15 for Wolfman?
Or
I got an 18 plus 5, so...
Oh my god, a 5. Come on.
So you now have 1 minute on the clock in real time to strategize what you want to do for this turn, as this monstrosity of bones lets out a bellowing roar that is just the scraping of 2 neck bones together.
I'm saving no more spell slots for later, so my plan is to get everybody as buffed as possible. So anyone who's a damage dealer, go with the knowledge that I'm going to help out.
All right, cool, because that's going to be me. I'm going to be charging in and trying to deal as much damage as humanly possible. Who wants to take Imhotep's head?
I could hold on to it. I'm not. Yeah, one of us magic people?
I'll hold it.
Oh, wait. Hey, how big are the bats? Can I have Capri's son carry him to safety while we fight this thing?
I'll pause your strategy time to answer this question for you. I'll have him roll strength to see. It's going to be pretty light. That's a nat 20. So,
Oh my gosh,
Caprison,
strong
you are
bat.
a strong little bat.
So yeah, Caprison can grab Imhotep's skull,
Cool.
no
Cool.
problem.
I look at Imhotep, I was like, sorry, you're going to have to go with the bat. And I toss him to the bat.
So Imhotep, you have 20 feet of flying movement. You can't take any physical actions, but you can still cast any spells that require verbal commands.
This is not how I imagine flying to be.
You can also use your actions to roll other charisma saves
Get my bones back.
to get your bones back.
Get your bones back.
Nah. We got this. Here's a question. Does my armor class change because I'm now a small head attached to a small bat floating through the air? Or is my armor class still 13?
I would say your armor class is still 13, because I would give you the bat's armor class, and it's worse.
Oh, good. Okay.
What do I do with all of the parts of Imhotep that I have?
That is up to you.
Okay.
Do we have to be careful of the parts of Imhotep in the chimera?
Yes, you do.
Oh.
Good
Oh,
to
no.
know.
And that is time.
Uh-oh.
Yeah, that's what I was worried about.
Don't die. I am trying something. Caprison, take me high.
So the chimera is going to go first, and it has a multi-attack.
Son of a bitch.
It sees the head of Imhotep flying up and out of the way, and it wants to complete the puzzle.
No. Don't do that.
So it's going to lunge
Do not do that.
after Imhotep, and that's an 18. So it's going to try to bite and like assimilate the head into it. So Imhotep is going to take 8 damage.
Oh,
And Imhotep, make a charisma saving throw.
Okay. Oh my god. 8.
Oh.
With an 8, it can either assimilate your head, and then you can try and work on it from the inside, but be extra vulnerable, or you can force your head out of the way, and it snaps and absorbs the rest of your bones.
Pick my bones. I got things I need to do.
So Caprison is able to wrench your head out of the way, but as you're focusing on keeping that safe, the rest of the bones snap out of the Invisible Man's hands and into the body of the chimera.
Can I try and do a sleight of hand check to grab the invisibility potion?
Yes, go ahead and do that.
Okay. Oh, mother Hubbard, that's a nat 1.
Oh.
Okay, bring it.
With a nat 1, the potion falls out and shatters.
Oh no. I'm so sorry.
So then with its second attack, because it made a lunge, it's kind of like in a downward trajectory now, and it's going to go for the Frankenstein monster. 17.
Damn it. I'm a 17 at AC, so it hits.
So it does 13 damage, but it's bludgeoning damage, which you are resistant to, so that gets cut in half. So that's going to round to 7.
I'm at 24 at 35.
And then it's going to slash with its third attack at the Invisible Man. And that's a 14.
Pretty sure my armor class is a 14. Yeah.
So that hits. And that's going to do 7 damage. And that ends its turn. So now, Invisible Man, it is your turn.
Invisible Man is in a desperate situation right now. I'm going to rush past him, look at the door, check the door to see if it's locked or not.
Okay, go ahead and roll investigation.
That's going to be 21.
With a 21, you can see that this door is locked and is basically kind of bolted in place. Only magical means can unlock this door. You could try to break it down, but it would take a concentrated effort over time to do it.
I don't have that, so I'm going to go ahead and drop visibility.
Okay.
This is really not a good situation for me. I'm going to go ahead in my dominant hand. I'm going to have Abraham's dagger, And then in my other hand, I want to try and use my short sword.
All right. And what I will say is it is looking the other way. So you will have advantage on this attack, and you can apply a sneak attack to it.
Yeah, because that's what I was going to try and do.
Okay, so you can do that. So go ahead and roll to attack with advantage.
Okay, so that's going to be a 17 on the dominant hand.
And that hits.
Okay, so for sneak attack, plus I'm using Abraham's dagger on this as well. So I did 17 damage with the dagger.
Okay.
And then I'm swiping with the short sword right now. Ooh, that's a 20.
Ooh.
Nice, so that crits.
Critical.
Oh my god, this is too cool. It's not that big of a deal. It's an extra 4 of damage.
Okay. Wolfman, it is your turn.
I think seeing the extremity of the situation, Larry is going to look at the creature and cast Bane upon it.
Okay, what does Bane do?
Up to 3 creatures of your choice, which I'm just going to focus everything onto the bone chimera, I see within range must make a charisma saving throw. Whenever a target that fails the saving throw makes an attack roll or saving throw before the spell ends, the target must roll a d4 and subtract the number rolled from the attack roll or saving throw. That is a spell that I'm going to cast, and I only get 2 spells. Hopefully this counts. And it must make a charisma throw of saving throw of 12.
All right, so it's going to roll a charisma save. And that's a 10.
Oh gosh! Yay!
So it fails its charisma save.
Thank the Lord! Thank the Lord! So every time it makes an attack roll or saving throw before the spell ends, which is 1 minute of concentration, it must roll a d4 and subtract that number from any attack roll or saving throw.
I had a similar idea, and I'm debating on if I want to add mine on top of that, or if I just want to start swinging.
Wait, save it for if we keep fighting this thing.
So Larry focuses really hard. He sees how much the rest of the team is getting hit, and he just focuses a lot of anger into just a condensed force and hits the chimera, and he breathes a big sigh of relief because he was not thinking he's going to be helpful this round.
And then the slight smell of wolfsbane lingers in the air.
Does it smell like wet dog?
It smells like wet dog.
Okay, and then are you going to do any movement?
I don't know if I want to be in the room, and nobody said they needed me anywhere, so I think I'm gonna gooch myself around the corner.
Next is the Frankenstein Monster's turn.
My turn. So I go into a rage, and I'm going to use my storm aura. So when I go into a rage, I am going to use the sea storm, because I want to cast some lightning on this motherfucker.
Okay, so dexterity saving throw. That's an 11. So it fails its saving throw.
Thank God.
I get to roll a d6. Behind. 2, damn it.
So it's going to take 2 damage from the lightning.
And I'm going to rush it, and I'm going to bash it with my club.
Go ahead and roll to hit.
That is a nat 20.
So that crits.
That crits.
Beautiful.
That is a 1 and a 2, so that's a 3. So with my lightning earlier, I do a grand total of 10 damage to it. I just rush up and I just start wailing on the bones, try to break as many as I can.
What I'm going to say too is, since that was a crit, I'm going to have it roll a charisma save as its glow kind of glitches out a little bit. So that's a 12. Imhotep, roll charisma contested. If you can beat a 12, then
Critical fail.
critical fail.
Oh.
Well, shit. Since that's a crit fail, your head gets sucked into the bone chimera.
No.
You will then have to take your turn to try and regain control of yourself.
Okay.
So that ends that. As it glitched out for a second, pulsing blue and red, it kind of doubles down, puts a lot more focus and concentration into it, and lets out another screech of bone grinding against bone, and then pulls you in. So now it is the Phantom's turn.
First, I'm going to use a bonus action to give bardic inspiration to the Frankenstein monster. For flavor, that takes the effect of me producing a flower and then, like, tuxedo mask, sending the flower over to someone. In this case, it's a tansy, which is a dainty yellow flower that means declaration of war.
And as I'm assuming you're throwing it stem first, right?
Of course.
So not only do I catch it in between my teeth.
Oh my god.
Point of inspiration, if you didn't already.
Then, for my actual turn, I'm going to burn a second Bardic Inspiration slot to cast my Majestic Anthem.
And describe what that does.
The Majestic Anthem is a song pulled from the chaos that bolsters the resolve of my allies. I expend and roll a Bardic Inspiration die as an action, and all other creatures that I choose within 60 feet gain temporary hit points equal to the number that I roll on the d6.
So go ahead and roll that d6.
Oh, God, sorry, everybody. I'll burn my inspiration to re-roll this one. Well, it's a little better. There you go. 2 health for everybody.
Yay! Thank you, Phantom.
I'm a little further from death.
So everybody gets 2 health.
Yay.
And what I'll say, if you're okay with it, flavor-wise, what happens is, as the chimera lets out its scream, you kind of magically shape that sound.
I want to take the bone grinding on bone and separate out each note into a staccato and make it like a war drum.
Ooh, that's really cool.
That's my turn.
All right, Carmilla, it is your turn.
Question. Simply by flying to the bones, could Imhotep get himself literally together?
Possibly. That's going to be what he's going to be spending his turn doing.
Okay.
What I'll say is, if you want Capricin to fly in and rearrange the bones, then Imhotep will have advantage.
We'll do that.
Okay, so Capricin kind of gives you a very concerned look, and it very clearly does not want to do this, but pulls up its resolve and dive bombs directly into the middle of the bone chimera. I'm going to do just a straight d20.
As far as I know, I want to say Capricin is kind of the MVP if he could pull that off.
And that's a 13. It's able to avoid being crushed and starts working on pulling and rearranging some of the bones around. The bone chimera kind of rears up with that look of like when you give a pet some medicine, and it kind of does that like, and the runes on the collective bones flicker again. And it is now Imhotep's turn, so go ahead and make a charisma save with advantage.
Nat 20.
Oh.
Capricin shoots outside of it and is breathing very, very heavily, kind of fluttering its wings, presses itself up against the wall, one wing flapping, one wing hand pressed against the wall, breathing heavily.
Good job, Capri-san.
So I managed to reform myself inside this chimera.
With a nat 20, your bones reassemble themselves inside of the bone chimera, and you get one action where you can pilot the bone chimera.
It's like a giant Jaeger.
Anybody near this thing's face?
I will say yes, Carmilla is.
Carmilla kind of sees Imhotep's skull kind of float into its eye, and I'm going to cast Ray of Enfeeblement.
All right, describe that spell.
A black beam of enervating energy springs from your finger toward a creature within range. Make a ranged spell attack against the target. On a hit, the target deals only half damage with weapons he attacks that use strength until the spell ends.
Okay.
At the end of each of the target's turns, it can make a Constitution saving throw against the spell. On success, the spell ends.
Because you're firing this from inside the chimera, you roll with advantage.
17.
17 hits.
You see 2 big black beams of light, or opposite of light? 2 beams of darkness shoot from its eye, and the thing, I imagine it kind of trembles a little bit.
The glowing runes dim a little bit.
And then as my one piloting the giant mecha action, have it run into the back corner wall just to give space between everybody and it, and so we have a chance to think about what we're doing.
I was gonna say the door would be kind of
We
cool.
can unlock the door.
You know what? Why don't we do that? We'll slam it right into the door. Get that door broken.
Hell yeah, knock that door down.
Imhotep, I'll have you basically roll charisma, and depending on what you get, that's how much damage it'll do to the door.
All right. 9.
With a 9, you're not able to do any damage to the door, but you are able to do a little bit of damage to the chimera. So we'll treat that as basically an unarmed strike. So what is your strength?
My strength is 8.
Okay, so I'll say it takes 3 damage from that.
Okay.
And that will end your turn. So now it is the Bone Chimera's turn. So the first thing that it's going to do is a charisma save. And that's a 5 minus 4, so that's an unnat 1.
Yay!
Wow.
So,
You'll have to see it.
Imhotep, you get to redirect one of its attacks.
Okay.
Holy cow.
Am I still inside of it?
You are still inside of it. It's going to swoop and make a lunge at the Frankenstein monster. Even with the minus D4, that's a 21.
Ooh.
Oh.
So it's going to try to bite the Frankenstein monster, and it will hit. Then it's going to slash at Carmilla, and it's going to miss. And then it's going to try to slam into the Phantom. And a 15 hits.
Yes.
Oh, shoot.
So it will successfully hit either Phantom or the Frankenstein monster. Let me roll for damage. So it would deal 4 damage, and that's after doing all of the subtractions and everything. It would deal 4 damage to the Frankenstein monster.
Oh my god.
And to the Phantom, it would deal 5 damage.
You know, Frankenstein monster, I think you can take 4.
Uh-huh.
Phantom, I don't think you can take 5. I just do not trust your frail barbed body enough. So we're going to say no to that one.
Thank you.
I'm going to take him over to the corner. I'm going to slam him into the wall again.
Okay, and it will take 3 damage from that.
Dan, welcome to the wonderful world of the party clowning on your boss. Oh man, it's so good to be on this end of it.
Dan's like, no, it has 80 health. I don't know what you're worried about.
So that is the Bone Chimera's turn. So now it is the Invisible Man's turn.
Okay, so I'm going to do the same thing, go with Abraham's dagger, and also the short sword that I have.
All right, so go ahead and roll to hit with advantage.
That's a 9.
9 does not hit.
That's the dagger. And then I'll just do a swipe with the short sword. That's just a straight 10.
Okay, that doesn't hit either. As it recoils from slamming up against the wall, its runes start to glitch again a little bit, and it maintains control of itself enough to fly itself up above your 2 slashes.
Okay.
So now it is the Wolfman's turn.
I am going to do the good old-fashioned Eldritch Blast. 21 to hit.
21 does hit.
Right. Let's see what special effect I get. I got pentacles, so I charge up my cards. I point at the creature in the sky. I send out my Eldritch Blast, and 1 coin falls out of the cards. But let me see for damage. The not as exciting part. More excited about that single coin. Then I did 10 damage.
As your blast of magical force hits it, it sends a shockwave up through all of the runes, and it takes double damage.
Ooh, think we've learned a weakness.
So you deal it 20 damage.
Holy mo! I bring down my cards close to me, and I see that they're smoking a little bit. I'm like, ooh.
And it kind of jitters a little bit. Imhotep, I need you to make a Constitution saving throw.
No! My good friend!
Nat 20.
Yay!
With a nat 20, roll a d4, you absorb some of that magical energy and get healed for a d4.
Nice.
Total of 1. I'll take it.
You're welcome.
All right, so now, unless you want to do any more movement, it will be the Frankenstein monster's turn.
I may regret this. Running to the door.
So now it is the Frankenstein monster's turn.
Okay. How's our bone chimera looking? They looking a little
It's looking a little worse for wear, but it's still holding itself together.
Alright, cool. I'm gonna go try and give it a concussion. 9.
You want to slap that bardic inspiration on there? Or?
I do want to slap a bardic inspiration on that. 5.
As you swing at it, it pulls its head back and you miss, and it kind of like gives a chuckle as its bones grind together in what loosely sounds like a laugh. And inspired by your rose, you hit it back again with the upswing. So go ahead and roll damage.
That's a 1 plus 5, so it's a 6. No, I'm just in front of it. It's like, and then I'm like, all right, fine. And then I just give it an uppercut.
Okay, Phantom, it is your turn.
So I'm going to start with giving my last piece of a bardic inspiration. I'm going to give it to Imhotep. In this case,
Ooh.
I produce the giant corpse flower bloom.
Oh, that's
And
awful.
I retch a little bit as I'm smelling it. I frisbee it over to Imhotep since it's so big and horrible.
Has to make a con save.
I would say he has to make a con save, but he can't smell.
No, he has no nose. For my actual action, I will cast Hideous Laughter.
All right, describe Hideous Laughter.
A creature of my choice that I can see perceives everything as hilariously funny and falls into fits of laughter. The target must succeed on a wisdom saving throw or fall prone, becoming incapacitated and unable to stand up for the duration.
What do you do that makes it laugh?
Well, actually, I suppose I have to ask a terrible question. A creature with an intelligence of 4 or lower will not be affected. Please tell me it's a smart chimera.
I hate to break it to you, its intelligence is 3.
No!
No!
Well, in that case, I perfectly recreate a Sonny and Cher comedy song with just myself, and it doesn't get it.
And now it is Carmilla's turn.
Okay. I don't think it's necessary to use my little bat friend Capricin anymore. So I'm gonna let him chill. He doesn't have to put the bat in battle.
God damn it.
Capricin is going to look very graciously and thankfully at you, nod its head, and it's going to dart out of the room.
Yeah, that's fine. I'm going to try and rattle its bones again, and I'd like to slash at it again.
Okay, go ahead and roll to hit.
Okay, so that's 14.
14, that hits. So go ahead and roll damage.
All right, that's a 9.
So that's 9 damage.
All right, wow. This is the best sword she's ever had.
And with that hit, it's starting to have a harder time holding its bones together. They loosen a little bit, and it rallies itself up and pulls them back together. But it's having to focus more on staying in one piece. So then that is Imhotep's turn.
The first thing that Imhotep is going to do, he ceases the concentration on casting Ray of Enfeeblement.
Okay.
And instead, he kind of starts cursing to himself as he grabs his Kopesh and starts kind of hacking away at the inside.
Ooh, it's gonna be good.
All right, so go ahead and roll to attack with advantage.
15.
15 hits.
Takes 6 damage. Also, while he's doing that, he's going to take his hand, grab his spiritual focus, rip it from his neck, and begin chanting. And as he does, it forms a second magical Kopesh as I, as a bonus action, cast Spiritual Weapon.
Oh,
You create a
okay.
floating spectral weapon within range of 60 feet. When you cast a spell, you can make a melee spell attack against a creature within 5 feet of the weapon.
Oh.
So he's going to take this weapon that usually is floating, but now he's wielding his normal Kopesh and a ghostly spectral Kopesh in the other hand. And it's going to roll a melee spell attack. So it's going to be a d20 plus 5 because he's going with my spell modifier.
And roll with advantage.
15 again.
15 hits.
So 6 damage. So I dealt to a total of 12 this turn.
It jitters again, and its bones loosen.
Please.
But it still, through sheer force of will, is just barely hanging on.
You all thought I was kidding about that 80 health thing.
Yeah, I really thought you were.
As you all see this flash of a sword kind of clearing pieces of bone out, and you see another flash of magical sword, you hear this kind of muffled...
Make another charisma save.
It's a 5 this time.
Oh my god.
No, it's a 4. I'm sorry. It's a 4.
Aw.
No more than that. 20 charismas.
Dang it.
It rolled a 14. So,
Yeah.
it manages to, snuff out your spiritual weapon and pull you a little bit back into its grasp. Okay, another 1 minute to strategize.
Dan, do I have to investigate the lantern again, during my turn, or can I do that now? Because I want to. I don't know what this lantern does, so I'm assuming it's.
So roll Arcana.
Okay. 16.
With a 16, as you're looking at this lantern and you kind of open its hood a little bit and you sort of stick your hand inside of it, your hand shimmers a little.
What the?
And you see for a brief moment your skin.
Oh my god.
And that is 1 minute. We are back in combat. So the Bone Chimera, it saw the source of its danger come from the Wolfman. So it's going to lunge and make an attack there and try to bite at you.
Oh, crap. I'm gonna die. Look, guys.
And that's a 13.
That hits.
So it's going to deal...
Just pulling out a new character sheet because I'm going to die.
That's going to be 7 damage.
Oof, what does it hit me with?
It goes to make a bite at you.
Okay, he chomps.
So it chomps and deals 7 damage.
I scream out in agony, as that is a lot of my remaining health.
And then it's going to circle back around towards the Frankenstein monster.
Real quick, can I do a reaction?
Yeah, if you've got a reaction you want to make.
I want to cast Hellish Rebuke.
Oh, okay.
So after feeling the stinging pain of teeth go into my shoulder, I point my finger at the creature that damaged me, and they are momentarily surrounded by hellish flames. Creature must make a dexterity saving throw.
Okay, so that's a dexterity save. So that's 12 minus 1, 11.
11 does not succeed, so let me roll 2d10. 14 damage.
All right. Describe your killing blow.
Oh. So I see it lock eyes with me. It runs towards me. It bites down into my shoulder. I feel half of my remaining health escape me. I lose a grip of that anger that I try and keep suppressed. And I look into its hollow eyes as flames build in mine. And as we reflect back out to look at the bone chimera, it is surrounded and engulfed in flames as I just point my finger at it. And I say, "Don't you do this to me right now, in front of the closest things I've had to friends in a long time," as the flames just slowly start to consume it.
All right. So Imhotep, make a...
I'm so sorry, Imhotep.
I'll say either charisma or constitution roll with advantage as the bones of this chimera, as the ruins burn off of it and it collapses.
15 for charisma.
15, and it's, what's your spell DC, Wolfman?
My spell DC, I believe, is 12.
So you succeed, so you take no damage. Then, as the bones collapse to pieces, your own runes kind of settle down. Make one more charisma roll.
20. Unnatural, but 20.
Oh.
So with a 20, you expel the last of this outside influence from
You
you.
are cleansed by my hellish friendship flames.
And as you regain your own grip on yourself, on your magic, on your form, a few of the bones that you didn't have to begin with join into your skeleton and glow with your blue glow. Roll a d6 and increase your max HP by that much.
Yo.
A 6.
Nice.
All right. Your max HP is increased by 6.
Damn! He's unstoppable.
Yeah, so I'm up to 30 HP now.
Hell yeah.
I just like the idea of Imhotep coming out, dusting his clothes off, looking down at himself, and you just hear him just say, "I'm counting 214. That is not correct, right?"
It's fine, I say as I collapse to the floor.
Imhotep looks really flexible.
Got a couple more joints.
Well, like, how many bones are there in the human body? 206, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, so like, I have 200, I'm counting 214. That does not feel right.
I choose to believe it's shoulder blades that have now fleshed out like a dump truck ass.
Yeah. Imhotep's looking really thick.
I'm trying to be sneaky, but the clap from my second shoulder blade that I
Again, I don't want to encourage this,
Oh,
but both Imhotep and Phantom inspiration.
Yay!
Hold on, I gotta make one note of this. Imhotep has a bony dump truck ass.
Nice.
All right, everybody roll perception.
Just see if we see his shoulder blade dumpy.
You don't need to roll to see that.
You couldn't miss it if you tried.
Nat 20. Nat 20.
Or
Oh, guess what? Another nat 20.
Oh!
No way.
I apparently picked up extra eye sockets, I guess.
14.
As these bones have collapsed and spread out, I'll start with the Frankenstein monster. With your 20, you see a few bones that have fused together that look like they would make a pretty good bludgeoning weapon. Imhotep, with your nat 20, you see that the door that was previously held shut by magical means collapses down and dissipates without the presence of the bone chimera there. With the 14 and the 15, you see similarly to what the Frankenstein monster sees, but you don't think of an immediate use for it.
How ugly.
So Frankenstein monster, if you would like to take that...
Yeah. I would like to take that bone club. So I pick it up, I go, do like the little thump against your hand. Like to a few practice swings is like, oh, this could be very useful.
You could send people to the bone zone.
I am feeling a little bonely.
God.
Oh my god.
Please, no more.
Or whoever wants to try and fight me is officially boned.
No, I'm gonna die. Please stop. I am so close to death. I just need a nap.
Add to your inventory, Frankenstein monster, a warhammer. Mechanically, that's how we're going to treat it. It'll be a warhammer, but we'll flavor it as you've got this giant fused bone club.
For Invisible Man, I'm going to, of course, put all my stuff back on, but I'm going to be playing with this lantern because it's been years since I've seen my own skin. So I want to try and see if it's the light from the lantern or if it's the wax or whatever it is.
Okay, go ahead and roll Arcana.
17.
You can see that the light that's kind of reflecting off of the lantern is what's allowing you to see a little bit of your hand, just ever so briefly.
I'm going to go outside the room and kind of duck around the corner. I don't want anyone to see, but I've basically raised my goggles and I'm slightly crying.
If you didn't already, inspiration.
Can I fish a skull out of this pile of bones and call it Yorick and keep it?
Yes.
Oh, does my bat come back or is he gone with his friends?
Roll just a straight d20.
10.
Capricin pokes their head around the corner and looks pretty scared but relieved and looks at you a little trepidatiously about following along. It is willing to follow but doesn't want to.
Okay, I'm not going to impinge upon its free will, so the bat can stay.
It gets a cute little smile, salutes you with its bat wing, and then flies out.
We'll always remember you, Capricin.
Who?
I would like to do something very silly. May I look at the skull that the Phantom has picked up and see if I can tell what this thing's name actually was?
Sure, insight check it.
That is a 21.
21. Do you have any name that you particularly want it to be, or do you want me to come up with something?
Beauregard.
So yeah, this one, in life, its name was Beauregard.
So you call it Yorick, you pick it up. So I imagine you pick it up, you start quoting at it. Imhotep looks at it and goes, Beauregard.
Yorick?
His name is Beauregard.
Was Yorick now. Pop it in a pocket.
How did you find out that skull's name?
Quality time.
Hung out in the bone chimera! Well, no, I was gonna say, I probably have Beauregard's shoulder blades on my ass.
Oh, you bonded. You have some of his bones in your butt.
So, as you go through the now collapsed door, it goes to a long hallway that leads towards the basement of the church interior. There is a doorway that you come up to that is unlocked. So as you kind of make your way through the door, you see a large altar where they would prepare the bodies and where everything would basically be dressed up a little bit. As you make your way to the door, all of you can pass through just fine. Carmilla, you basically bump into an invisible force as you try to go in through the door.
I'll just wait out here while you guys find out what's going on inside. Yes.
Don't be a fool. Come along.
And as the Phantom says, come along, that invisible barrier kind of disappears for you.
Oh, brilliant.
And you have been invited inside.
Hooray!
And as you are all in this room, you feel kind of a serene sense of peace wash over you. And you can tell that in this particular room, you can kind of get a little bit of sanctuary. So everybody go ahead and take a short rest.
Wolfman limping down the hallway, just kind of a glassy glaze over his eyes, clutching his limp, bleeding arm, makes his way into the room and just kind of collapses onto the altar, takes a short snooze.
Just so everyone knows, I exist, which means You and friendly creatures gain 1d6 additional healing at the end of a short rest.
Which means you are blessed.
You're welcome.
After everybody rests and heals up and kind of recuperates, you've got a locked door to your northeast.
I got it, since I have that skeleton key.
Or you could just punch it.
Or I could bash it in. Is it like a steel door, or is it like a wooden door?
It is a steel door, so it would be a high strength threshold to do it, but if anyone could do it.
It's true.
Can I look at the altar?
Sure, insight check it.
That's a 9.
With a 9, as far as you can tell, there's nothing particularly special about this altar, other than that it's pretty well treated.
Okay.
Frankenstein Monster, go ahead and roll a d20 to use the skeleton key. As long as you roll above a 4, it doesn't break.
Well, I rolled a 15.
So that doesn't break. So now the next threshold will be 5.
Yay.
And the door swings open. You walk into a little prepared chamber. You can feel that you are directly below the chapel, and there's a bit of a mystical presence in this room. On one side, there is another painting nearly identical to the first two that shows the same nun with no candelabra in her hands and her arms outstretched to either side of her. And on either side of the painting, there is an end table with 2 candelabras that are empty. On the opposite wall, you see a painting that looks strikingly like the mosaic that you saw in the previous room. A man with long black hair, very sharp angular features, sitting regally in front of a fireplace, and there's a small little bit of a reflection from the fireplace in the glasses. Everybody roll either perception or investigation.
I rolled a 16.
I got 13.
Well, that was a horrible. I rolled a 4 plus 4. It's an 8.
Terrible. 7.
Wolfman, go to 5.
We're dumb as rocks, all of us.
Excuse you, I got a 16.
Imhotep only. You notice as you are looking at this painting that the reflection in this man's eyes is slightly brighter on the left side than on the right side.
Bring us through, Imhotep.
He kind of steps closer to the painting, reaches his bony fingers out, and kind of runs his fingers over the eyes, both of them. You know, kind of like going from the eyebrow, running them down to like the cheek. Does that make anything happen?
Roll perception as you do that.
15 this time.
Nothing seems to immediately happen, but you do notice with a 15 that this painting is directly, like exactly mirror image opposite the first painting.
So he kind of puts his fingers in the eyes again, and traces them to the other side and looks at the eyes of the other painting.
Invisible Man's been looking at the other painting across from the wall. Because, I mean, I've already collected the other 2.
Without having to roll for anything since you've seen the other 2, this one looks the same as the first 2, except that she is not holding a candelabra and instead has her hands extended out to either side, gesturing to the 2 end tables on either side of the painting that each have a candelabra with no candles.
Oh, Carmilla is going to take out the red candle.
Okay, everyone roll perception.
10.
That was even worse than my first time. I rolled a 3.
11.
21.
We got a 9.
Okay, so Phantom, you immediately notice as she takes this candle out that it is too big for the candelabras, but that it has a bit of an interesting effect on the Wolfman. Something about him being in proximity to this candle kind of makes him look a little bit more put together, slightly more invigorated.
Do I feel this?
You don't notice. You just get a slight bit more energy than you had before.
Okay. So I stop kind of leaning off the wall and maybe I stand on my feet a bit more, kind of tap my hand.
But also with your 21, Aaron, you can tell that this candle won't fit in these candelabras because the candles that you and everyone else has been carrying will.
Let's not use that pretty special looking candle.
Yeah.
Does anyone have anything a bit more banal?
I think it was like 6 or 7 other candles in my pocket.
I don't care. Put them in the candelabras.
Fine. So I'm going to go ahead and just start putting them in there.
Okay. So you now have 6 unlit candles, 3 in each candelabra.
Can you give us some light?
I'll see what I can do. I will prestidigitate all of them on.
Okay, so all 6 of them light up, and the ground beneath you begins to tremble. There is a door on the north of you that seems to jiggle a little bit, and then hold firm and gives out a bit of a locking sound. And the ground caves in beneath you just a little bit. You're now on slightly unstable ground, and if you kind of look, it splits a little bit in the center, and there are some stalactites pointing up.
Oh.
Well, that's all I got. Somebody else figure this out.
I'm going to go ahead and pull out both of the paintings and then just spread them open just so that way everyone else can
Yes.
see.
I think one might have been a menorah.
So you see with the first painting that is labeled 1 of 3, she is holding a candelabra with all 3 candles lit. With the second one labeled 2 of 3, she is holding a candelabra with the outer 2 candles lit and the inner middle one snuffed out.
Wait a minute. The first time we saw these paintings, how many candles were in the candelabras and how many were
Okay,
lit?
so hold on though, because it said 1 of 3 has 3 candles lit. 2 of 3 has only the 2 outside ones.
So I think for this one, the middle candles on each candelabra need to be lit. Because it keeps descending. We have full 3 ones, then 2, and now we need the 1. So maybe if we snuff out the 2 candles on the outer sides, maybe that could get that door open.
What's the shot?
Well, actually, hold up. I'm also bloody stupid. I'm going to go check is the door, closed? Can I open it with my skeleton key, or is it open through other means?
The door does not have a lock on it.
Okay, yep, can't do the skeleton key, so maybe if we just unsnuff the 2 outer ones on each candelabra so the middle one stays lit, that will be the way to get it open.
Right.
Roll perception, Invisible Man. Well, both of you, actually.
16.
With a 16, you can see the bottom corner of this painting on the wall is peeled a little bit.
Okay, so I'm going to start peeling it up.
And you look underneath Invisible Man, and you see that this one says 3 of 3.
Okay.
10 for me.
You don't really see the relevance of this Frankenstein monster.
So it's basically telling us to go in order. I think one of the candelabras needs to have all 3 lit, and then the second one needs to have only the 2 outside lit, and then the third candelabra.
There's only the 2 candelabras.
Yeah, what you see on the wall with this particular painting, there is no candelabra in the painting. It is just the nun with both arms outstretched, indicating to the 2 tables on either side of her.
So one candelabra is in regards to one of the paintings and the other. And we do have this portrait that is up against the opposite wall facing Mary. So possibly that has an indication of what candles go where.
Because I was going to say, I wanted to go and look at that painting as well.
Painting of this man with the glint in his eye?
Can I see where the eyes are specifically looking? Like what direction the head is pointed?
Sure, I'm going to take a look at it.
Wolfman, roll investigation on this painting.
11.
With an 11, you see that there's a glint in both eyes.
Okay.
What Imhotep has previously seen is that the left eye has a slightly brighter glint than the right eye.
Oh, wait. So the one with the brighter glint in his eye is going to be the one with 3 candles lit.
When we're looking at the painting, what we see as his left eye is really his right eye.
Right. So the question is, how many candles need to be lit?
I feel like I've been doing all the work around here. Someone needs to blow out a candle.
Fuck it, I blow out the middle one.
All right, and as you do, the ground rumbles beneath you again.
Ah, fuck.
And then kind of solidifies.
Oh.
And the door to the north swings open. And you see a staircase that is ascending back into the chapel.
I would like to say that while everybody was figuring out the portrait puzzle, the reason why Wolfman was so quiet is he was sitting there thinking things through, thinking about the events of the night, tapping his hand, and then he realized his hand was empty. And he sets his cane down to the side on a rock or a shrub and... Oh shit, I don't have my cane. I need my cane. And so he was just sitting there quietly futzing, and as soon as he hears the door unlock, he bolts it, and he goes right upstairs to go find his cane. And you just hear, I need my cane! And he runs upstairs.
As that happens, Carmilla, roll a quick insight check.
10.
You get another familiar feeling as you look back at that painting, the one that matches the mosaic that you saw earlier, and you do get a sneaking feeling of familiarity, but you still can't quite place it. For everybody else, the door is open and Wolfman has bolted.
I would like to glance at the paintings and see if they have A, any aesthetic value, but B, if I can tell who painted them.
Okay, go ahead and roll, I'll say either insight or history.
Almost certain I want to go with history. My history is pretty darn good. Yes, absolutely history. Unnatural 20.
Both of these paintings were painted by somebody within the clergy. It was no one of any renown, but they seem to be memorializing people that are very, very important to this particular church. The painting of this man has the same name you saw before. The name is still pretty damaged and you can't really make anything out. You can see the V because you know to look for it, and you can kind of see based on the spacing of the letters that there are 10 letters in the name. But you can't make out any of them other than the first one.
Can I bring this painting with me without damaging it? I know the Invisible Man's just been like cutting them out, but is this one like framed in a way where I could pop it off the wall?
You can pop it off the wall, slide it out of the back of the frame, and roll it up.
I would like to do that.
Colonizer.
This one's mine.
Wow. Sacred relics, and you're just taking them.
Nothing in life is sacred, my dear. You'll learn that.
Right before we like leave this thing, like back on the table, Frankenstein's monster looks over at the portrait of Saint Mary, and I just glare at it and I say it under my breath. I bet you never were as pure and good as she was. And I just leave the painting be because part of me really wants to destroy it, but at the same time, we just opened up the trap and there's stalactites below, so I'm just like, I just glare at it and I walk away.
With the fact that I have the other two, can I tell that I could essentially get some cash for these, it being a full set?
I'll say yeah, you could get a little bit of cash from it. Nothing substantial, but you can get a couple of gold pieces from them.
So I'll take the third one as well. So I've got the 3 paintings, and I've left the guy because I don't think it means anything because it's not part of a set.
And Phantom took that one.
Oh, okay, yeah. So I've got the 3 paintings, and I'm pretty much just headed out.
And then the rest of you, that's Imhotep and Carmilla. Do you make your way on out too?
Yes.
Oh, yeah. I think I've gleaned all I'm gonna be able to glean from that picture, and I don't think Carmilla needs a portrait of some guy.
So you emerge from the stairs and make your way back into the chapel that you were in before. Phantom, Imhotep, and Wolfman, you immediately recognize this is the same building that you were in earlier tonight.
I glare at the organ.
Since you've been down inside, there's been some commotion, people running in and out and kind of taking cover. And left behind, towards the far back of the cathedral, where the altar and everything is, there is a book that was dropped and left behind from one of the priests.
Imhotep goes and takes a look at it.
Okay. And as Imhotep takes a look at this, you can see that this is open to like roughly page 6 of the book. And there's a bunch of scribbles, scrawls, and notes that are talking a little bit about Raynor and rambling about needing to come to the church on this night. But there's also a note footnoted at the bottom. The Order of the Ghost Slayer and everybody involved with Van Helsing is not sure of what Raynor's ultimate plans are and that more information needs to be gleaned. And you can see kind of on the next page over, there's some rumors of a vampire nest the next town over, in the town of Stratford, and that there is a name that is circled that says go to him for information, and that name is Marlowe Bronte.
Oh.
There's also some notes on this page asking to preserve the first 6 entries of this journal for historical value.
It kind of flicks back through the first 6 and just like, I'm not going to make you read them out, but it kind of flicks back through and closes the book up, pockets it. As much as I am loath to take upon a team that I think is not always going to work well together, looks at the Phantom, looks at the Invisible Man. I believe we have all been brought here for a reason, whatever Osiris deems that to be, and that the village of Stratford might need aid, but will also answer questions for why we were all brought here. Somebody by the name of Marlo, what was his last name?
You open the book back up and look through it.
Line.
Yeah. That's exactly what I thought too.
Marlo Bronte. Marlo just fumbling around awkwardly to get the book. Bronte.
Okay, yes, you open the book back up to double check and find the name. And as you do that, Invisible Man, roll perception on this book.
Do I get advantage because I know about...
Yes, with advantage.
Okay, cool.
And while all this is happening, Wolfman is looking around in the chapel for his cane. He really doesn't think he left it in here, but he wants to check this place first before going outside.
You don't find your cane in here, but you do see that this is a pretty wide open space. There's a lot of overturned pews, and you can see that the pillars supporting the roof of this building are a little bit worse for wear. One of them has collapsed. The other three are still holding. They're doing their job. They're not holding strong, but they're keeping the roof in place.
Okay.
What did you roll, Invisible Man?
I got an unnatural 20.
As Imhotep was kind of brushing past the first few pages, you see the name Van Helsing jump out at you.
I kind of fidget a little bit, and then I ask Imhotep if he minds if I take a look at this book.
You sure you don't want to stab him for it?
Thaumaturgy shoots a look at the Phantom. Eyes are red. Just shoots a look at the Phantom.
Do you already have inspiration, Phantom?
Yeah, I think I do.
That was so unnecessary and so funny.
He's about to offer the book, but as soon as he says that, he just kind of, like I said, just shoots a look at him, just really? We're doing this shit again?
I'm just going to whisper to Imhotep and be like, I thought we were over it.
I'm going to lock you two in a room together until you play nice or only one of you walks out. And he hands him the book.
At least having the book, would I be able to glean any more information that I've already been made aware of from my previous investigations about Raynor and kind of vaguely knowing Abraham in a kind of work investigation environment?
You aren't able to glean anything more about Raynor from any of this, but you are able to get a little bit of information about this church, about Van Helsing. If you would like to read through the first couple of pages, I can tell you what is written on them.
Yeah, I mean, that's pretty much what Jack would do.
Okay, so on page 1, you see basically an inscription from Sister Mary.
I'm reading over his shoulder.
And it says, "The situation at our cathedral has grown dire. Our nuns have one by one been falling ill and exhibiting strange symptoms, their skin becoming pale and clammy, akin to that of corpses, their mannerisms less proper and more erratic, their habits more reclusive, keeping to the midnight hours and avoiding our masses and rites. Father Valentino believes that it might be a lack of faith, and insists that we increase the penances and punishments, but I'm less convinced. It might be merely a flight of fancy, but I suspect something more occult is at foot. I shall keep a watchful eye and dutiful tabs." On page 2, in another note from Sister Mary, "The afflictions that have previously taken hold of our nuns have now passed on to Father Valentino himself. Last night, against my advice and judgment, Father Valentino welcomed a wandering woman into our church, a woman who resembled those of our clergy in the more advanced stages of their affliction. She sought sanctuary and he obliged, inviting her within our doors. I have now seen his behavior begin to shift like that of the other nuns. He has been callous with the others before, but never with me. When I inquired about the sudden appearance of 2 puncture marks by his collarbone, he lashed out. I came to apologize later in the night carrying holy water, freshly consecrated for our evening mass, and some of it spilled on him, burning his skin to the touch. I now know something unholy is happening within our walls. With each passing hour I grow more afraid, but no less determined to set our congregation back on the rightful path of God." On the 3rd page, another marking from Sister Mary. It says, "I have resorted to desperate measures to keep myself safe from the sisters and the clergymen. I have taken to sleeping during daylight hours when they seem to be the most docile, consecrating the drinking water, and surrounding myself with whatever silver trinkets I can at all times. I am growing weary and pessimistic about my chances, but a small spark of hope yet remains. I have been in contact with one of the church's most renowned exorcists, who is en route to our church only a day's journey away. I pray I survive long enough to greet the famed Werner Vordenberg, who has agreed to pool his knowledge with mine in an attempt to return this infernal scourge back from whence it came." Carmilla, roll either insight or history.
17.
17. The name Valentino means nothing to you, but the name Vordenberg sends a chill down your spine.
Okay.
On page 4, Werner Vordenberg has arrived and has identified the source of our affliction. It is the wanderer who sought refuge within our walls, who was actually a long-dead countess and made some unholy barter, and has been traveling across the countryside causing numerous scenes such as this one. The woman who introduced herself as Carmilla must be destroyed, and all those who have been afflicted must similarly be put to rest. The Baron Vordenberg and I will make our assault tonight. Sister Mary. On page 5, from Vordenberg, it is done. After great strife, destruction, and many unfortunate losses, we have ended the Countess Milarka Karnstein's reign of terror. It brings me great pain to say that Sister Mary did not survive the skirmish, but she died a hero. I am going through the necessary procedures to have her endowed with sainthood, and the few members of the clergy who remain here have agreed to name this chapel in her honor. It was her dying wish to ensure that we end this threat wherever it may crop up, and as such, I, and a select few of the bravest of our priests and nuns, have begun preparing to invoke the forbidden rites of Hemocraft. We must all have our souls branded with the Hunter's Bane, and while we may very well need to venture into hell and back, we will do what we must. It is the least of the debt that we owe to Saint Maria van Helsing.
Damn.
I swear on her grave that I personally shall end Carmilla's legacy, and should a Karnstein ever walk this earth again, I will seek out vengeance with all the power of the Church and the Sacred Order of the Slayers behind me.
Damn.
Everyone roll perception.
11.
Another 17.
19.
6.
I rolled a 9. Can I sprint outside to go look for my cane yet?
Yeah, sure.
Oh, Scully, I really need to find that cane. And I rush out.
As the Wolfman gets to the door, Frankenstein Monster, you can tell everything has been eerily quiet the entire time you've been up here. And you sense a presence from behind that door. And as the Wolfman throws the doors open, there is a 10-foot-tall skeletal figure that is standing in your way.
I yell to Larry, "Get back!"
You don't have to tell me twice, and I sprint.
And with a glare, it looks back at the lot of you, making direct eye contact with Carmilla, and it growls, Karnstein.
Carmilla is definitely boned.
We are the outcasts, the misfits you might say. We deal with the nightmares that you run away from every single day. We know the world is a gruesome little place, but us outsiders, we've developed quite a taste for the grisly and morbid, the ghastly and the horrid. We know it's awful, dreadful, but we like it. Just another haunted night, shrouded with unearthly fright. So when you're oh so terrified, you know who to call. The world is falling apart, we'll never take it to heart. Some monsters and creatures and spirits and specters and all, let's all have a ball.
I think I'd like to change Capri Sun's name. What about Bartholomew?
No.
No.
I'm sorry, Capri Sun is so
On
good.
one hand, yes. The other hand, Capri Sun is very cute.
I like Capri Sun more, I'm sorry.
Capri Sun, Bartholomew.
We need to come up with another name now, so we have first, middle, and last.
Karnstein, right?
Karnstein. There we go. That's his full name.
Yes.
We did it.
Everybody's running around this monster and they're like, what's the name of the
Oh my
cat?
god. Oh. I like that this is going on while we're in the middle of a combat with a giant bone monster. And we're like,
I know.